Psychosocial Development by Erikson.
Erik Erikson was born on June 15, 1902 at Frankfurt am Main, Germany, and died on May 12, 1994 at Harwich, Massachusetts, USA. After completing high school, he moved to Florence to pursue his interest in art, and in 1927 became an art teacher at Psychoanalytically Enlightened School for Children, started by Dorothy Burlingham and Anna Freud in Vienna. The move changed his life and career. He earned a certificate from the Maria Montessori School, then embarked on psychoanalytic training at the Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute. By 1936, he joined the Institute of Human Relations, part of the Department of Psychiatry at Yale University. Erik Erikson was an ego psychologist who developed one of the most popular and influential theories of development. Erikson's best-known work is his theory that each stage of life is associated with a specific psychological struggle, a struggle that contributes to a major aspect of personality. His developmental progressions was conceived as the sequential reorganization of ego and character structures. Trust versus mistrust. This is from birth to 1.5 years old. This is when the existential question answered, "Can I trust this world?" This stage is the most fundamental stage in life. If a child successfully develops trust, the child will feel safe and secure in the world. Because an infant is utterly dependent, developing trust is based on the dependability and quality of the child's caregivers. During this stage, the infant is uncertain about the world in which they live and looks toward their primary caregiver for stability and consistency of care. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of hope. By developing a sense of trust, the infant can have hope that as a new crisis arises, there is a real possibility that other people will be there as a source of support. Failing to acquire the virtue of hope will lead to the development of fear. This infant will carry the basic sense of mistrust with them to other relationships. It may result in anxiety, heightened insecurities, and an overfeeling of mistrust in the world around them. Autonomy versus shame. This is from 1.5 years old to 3 years old. The existential question asked is it okay to be me? Children at this stage are focused on developing a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. At this point in development, children are just starting to gain a little independence. They are starting to perform basic actions on their own and making simple decisions about what they prefer. The parents will provide a strong base of a security from which the child can venture out to assert their will. The parents' patience and encouragement help foster an autonomy in the child. Children at this age deeply enjoy exploring the world around them, and they are constantly learning about their environment. If children are criticized, overly controlled, or not given the opportunity to assert themselves, they begin to feel inadequate in their ability to survive and may then become overly dependent upon others, lack self-esteem, and feel a sense of shame or doubt in their abilities. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of will. If children in this stage are encouraged and supported in their increased independence, they become more confident and secure in their own ability to survive in the world. The third stage is initiative versus guilt. This is from 3 to 5 years old. The existential question asked is it okay for me to do, move, and act? During this period, the primary feature involves the child regularly interacting with other children at school. Central to this stage is play, as it provides children with the opportunity to explore their interpersonal skills through initiating activities. Conversely, if this tendency is suppressed, either through criticism or control, children develop a sense of guilt. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of initiative. Success in this stage leads to a sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. A healthy balance between initiative and guilt is important. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of purpose, while failure results in the sense of guilt. Fourth stage of development is industry versus inferiority. These are from 5 years old to 12 years old, where the existential question answered, can I make it in the world of people and things? Children at this stage are becoming more aware of themselves as individuals. They work hard at being responsible, being good, and doing it right. It is at this stage that the child's peer group will gain greater significance and will become a major source of the child's self-esteem. The child now feels the need to win approval by demonstrating specific competencies that are valued by society and begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments. If children are encouraged and reinforced for their initiative, they begin to feel industrious or competent and feel confident in their ability to achieve goals. If this initiative is not encouraged, if it is restricted by parents or teacher, then the child begins to feel inferior, doubting his own abilities and therefore may not reach his or her own potential. Next is identity versus role confusion. This is from 12 years old to 18 years old. The existential question asked is, who am I and what can I be? This stage plays an essential role in developing a sense of personal identity, which will continue to influence behavior and development for the rest of a person's life. During this period, they explore possibilities and begin to form their own identity based upon the outcome of their explorations. Failure to establish a sense of identity within society lead to role confusion. Role confusion involves the individual not being sure about themselves or their place in society. Erikson is credited with coining the term identity crisis. Each stage has its own crisis. However, this stage arguably has the most significant crisis as a person is transitioning from a child to an adult. Adolescents are confronted by the need to reestablish for themselves and to do this in the face of an often potentially hostile world. This is often challenging since commitments are being asked for before identity roles have formed. One is in a state of identity confusion, but society normally makes allowances for youth to find themselves. For instance, society may not require a 16-year-old to decide on his future career, but instead allows the adolescent to study many subjects at school so he can find himself. The adolescent enjoys the freedom to explore, and he is not entirely certain who he wants to become. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of fidelity, which involves being able to commit oneself to others on the basis of accepting others, even when there may be ideological differences. The sixth stage of development is intimacy versus isolation. This is from 18 to 40 years old. The existential question asked is, can I love? During this stage, the major conflict centers on forming intimate, loving relationships with other people. During this stage, we begin to share ourselves more intimately with others. We explore relationships leading toward longer-term commitments with someone other than a family member. Erikson believed it was vital that people develop close, committed relationships with other people. Those who are successful at this step will form relationships that are enduring and secure. Once people have established their identities, they are ready to make long-term commitments to others. They become capable of forming intimate, reciprocal relationships and willingly make the sacrifices and compromises that such relationships require. If people cannot form these intimate relationships, perhaps because of their own needs, a sense of isolation may result, arousing feelings of darkness and angst. Avoiding intimacy, fearing commitment, and relationships can lead to isolation, loneliness, and sometimes depression. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of love. The seventh stage of development is generativity versus stagnation. This is from 40 years old to 65 years old. This is where the question, "Can I make my life count?" answered. Adults need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having family or children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. Generativity is the concern of guiding the next generation. When a person contributes during this period, perhaps by raising a family or working toward the betterment of a society, a sense of generativity, productivity, and accomplishment results. In contrast, a person who is self-centered and unable or unwilling to help society may forward develops a feeling of stagnation, dissatisfaction with the relative lack of productivity. Success leads to feelings of usefulness and accomplishment, while failure results in shallow involvement in the world. By failing to find a way to contribute, we become stagnant and feel unproductive. These individuals may feel disconnected or uninvolved with their community and with society. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of care. The last stage of development is ego integrity versus despair. This is from 65 years to death. The existential question answered is it okay to have been me? It is during this time that we contemplate our accomplishment and can develop integrity if we see ourselves as leading a successful life. People reflect on the events of their lives and take stock. Erikson believed if we see our lives as unproductive, feel guilty about our past, or feel that we did not accomplish our life goals, we become dissatisfied with life and develop despair, often leading to depression and hopelessness.